is one of the many reasons I cannot stand the WNBA dump. I often get accused of being biased against the WNBA, and it's absolutely true. I have never hidden my bias. I have never hidden my disdain for pretend basketball. I tell you up front, I hate this league. When I am critical of the NFL, when I'm critical of Adam Silver and the NBA, which we will be talking about again later today here on the main channel, when I'm critical of the NFL or the NBA, it's because I want them to be better. It's because I know they can be better. I came of age watching the greatest collection of quarterbacks the NFL's ever seen. They set the standard. They set the expectation. When that expectation isn't met, and it hasn't been since they retired, when the expectation isn't met, I'm going to point it out. I'm going to complain about it. But with the WNBA dump, my criticism is not coming from a desire to see the league improve. My criticism of pretend basketball, it's coming from a desire to get the WNBA off my TV. You know, growing up, my parents used to tell me all the time, you are who your friends are. When I was in high school and college, I had a lot of friends. Uncle Casey was a hell of a lot more social back then than I am today. During my younger years, I had hundreds of so-called friends. Out of those hundreds of friends, you know how many of them I'm friends with today? One. In the early 2000s, one of my best friends, he was raised by his grandparents. His grandmother, and his grandfather for that matter, but his grandmother was an amazing woman. She would do anything for anyone. When she was in her mid to late 40s, she was diagnosed with a brutal case of arthritis. She lived through immense pain every day for the rest of her life, but you never know it because she never complained about it. One Sunday morning, we woke up at his grandparents' house hungover. They woke us up early as they were getting ready for church. She asked if we were coming, and obviously we said no. They would have had to run us through a car wash to disguise the smell before allowing us to step inside the church. We were talking with his grandmother that morning, and somehow the future got brought up. At the time, we were 19, maybe 20 years old. We were talking about how we would still be hanging out 10 years from now. We were talking about how our core group would still be friends. Granny looked at us and said, "I doubt it." What the hell do you mean, you doubt it? She said, right now, the only bond you have is substances. Once you remove the substances, are you really friends? Casey, you're in college. My grandson dropped out of high school. More than likely, your lives are going to go separate directions in the next few years. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope you'll stay friends, but the truth is, your friendship is based on a foundation that is not sustainable. 3 years ago, December 2022, I went to Granny's funeral. It was the first time I had seen my best friend in 15 years. Granny was right. You are who your friends are. You surround yourself with people with common interest. You can tell a lot about someone and who they are by looking at their associates. For years, I have been telling you guys that the WNBA is an activist league. For years, I have been telling you guys that the WNBA is a league that's built on entitlement. This league is a beacon of socialism. For decades, WNBA players have been demanding money they haven't earned. They want rich people to subsidize their lifestyle. Basically, the WNBA is a welfare league. And if you look at their friends, if you look at their supporters, you will figure out that the WNBA is also an anti-American league. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Now, I'm sure some of you are thinking, how dare you call the WNBA un-American? These women are fighting for equal rights. They're fighting for their fair share. That is the definition of American values. I have no problem with employees fighting for raises. I have no problem with anyone maximizing their earning potential. What I do have a problem with is entitled players thinking they're owed something. And I damn sure have a problem with a league that supports and is being supported by people who are clearly anti-American. You don't have to take my word for it. Uncle KC always comes with the proof. Why don't we start with Natasha Cloud? I could sit here for the next hour and highlight Tasha and her extensive history of anti-American garbage. Natasha Cloud is a proud communist. I'm not a communist, I'm a democratic socialist. That's like the devil saying, I'm not on fire, I'm just burning. Supposedly, Natasha Cloud is a Christian woman, and I hate to say supposedly because I don't like to question anyone's Christian faith, but I have a hard time understanding how a Christian could be a supporter of Islamists. I have a hard time understanding how a Christian could support a religion that doesn't want you alive. If Natasha Cloud flew to Palestine, she would not make it off the plane. Not only is she a Christian, she also identifies with multiple letters in the LGBT alphabet. I don't know if Tasha knows this, but in Palestine, flying your rainbow flag is not only discouraged, it's illegal. But for some reason, Natasha Cloud continues to support Palestinians. Check out this video that she posted on Twitter 3 days ago. Watch for yourself.
This ain't your Gaza! This ain't your Gaza! The whole damn system! The whole damn system! One! We are the people too! We want Messiah! Three! Stop the bombing! Now! One! We are the people! Two! We want Messiah! Three! Stop the bombing! Now! Stop the bombing now! Stop the bombing now!
You're probably thinking, well, this is just one player. You can't claim the entire league is anti-American based on the actions of a woman who intentionally deepens her own voice in a desperate attempt to sound masculine. Yeah, that's definitely true. You shouldn't generalize the entire WNBA based on the actions of Natasha Cloud. Of course, I could point to the fact that players were kneeling for the national anthem, or they don't come out at all for the national anthem, or I could point to the fact that Bob Greiner wanted the national anthem removed from the WNBA, or I could remind you that many WNBA players believe that America is racist and misogynist, or I could share this headline from yesterday in the New York Times. More than 70 legislators, including Zohran Mamdani, signed letter in support of WNBA players. First of all, what the hell are politicians doing getting involved in the WNBA's negotiations for a new CBA? Over 70 doofus politicians sent a letter to the diva of Dump Divas, Kat Engelbert, and they demanded that she negotiate in good faith. Why? Aren't politicians supposed to be focused on important things? Why are they wasting their time involving themselves in make-believe basketball? According to Aaron Drake, pronouns unknown, I don't know if Aaron is a he or a she. Hell, since this is the WNBA, Aaron could be they. Aaron Drake is the senior advisor and legal counsel for the WNBA Players Union. According to Aaron, these socially conscious politicians are getting involved because this affects their voters. If the WNBA season is canceled, their voters will be outraged. What will they do all summer if they can't see the elite athleticism in the WNBA dump? The WNBA wasn't selling out games in the WNBA finals. You really think voters in New York City care if the New York lesbians aren't playing next summer? Speaking of New York City, one of the socialists or communists who signed the letter to Kat Engelbert, she was New York City Councilwoman Tiffany Caban. According to her website, Tiffany is proud of her accomplishments in public safety. She is one of the leading voices in the movement to defund the police. 3 years ago, she urged victims of crime to call 311 instead of 911. When you have been fleeced, don't call the police, call social worker Shanice. When you're the victim of crime, don't you dare start crime, there will be no jail time. Obviously, the most high-profile supporter in this letter to the WNBA is Zohran Mamdani, the dude who just posed with the Muslim imam who testified for the defendants in the first World Trade Center attack in the early 90s. The same Zohran Mamdani who will absolutely destroy New York City if he gets elected. According to Zorro and the other supporters, this deal is an opportunity to prove that women are valuable workers who deserve to be paid accordingly. Women also deserve to be treated fairly. That's a bit strange coming from Zorro since, Islamists treat women like second-class citizens. WNBA players are proud to be supported by a dude who has never built a damn thing. Zohran Mamdani has never had a job, and I would be willing to bet most of these communists who signed this letter, they've never had a job either. This is a case of welfare supporting welfare. Are you starting to understand why I will never support the WNBA? Why would I support a league that is clearly anti-American? And look, there are some patriotic players in the WNBA. Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark doesn't get too involved in politics, which is fine. That's fine. That's the way it should be. I'm sure there are a lot of other patriotic players in the league who are just afraid to speak out. But it's no coincidence that the WNBA is being supported by socialists, because the WNBA is the ultimate socialist league, and socialism is anti-American. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.